But instead, his own world was split, and the knot was created.
Did anyone notice that Martha has a cut on her left cheek in her word and on the right cheek on the other words? Yeah, there are many questions like that in your mind. And when Jonas turns to Martha and says, "It's a bit complicated to explain," and he certainly isn't exaggerating. So I'm your host, the Spoiler King, is here to explain everything to you. So before we begin, hit the subscribe button and press the bell icon. Dark Season 3 Ending Explained. The finale starts with Claudia approaching Adam, something which Adam finds deeply confusing.
Impossible.
Given that in every previous version of the loop, this has never happened. Claudia explains to Adam that his frequent attempts to destroy the knot have only ever kept it intact, including the act of killing Martha and her unborn child. Claudia further explains that the both Adam's and Eve world should both actually never have existed. They are the offshoots that were created when H.G. Tannhäuser's experiment went wrong in the third world, the origin world. Claudia has spent 33 years across Eve's and Adam's world trying to stop the loop from repeating, thus saving her daughter Regina from dying of cancer. But realizes that it is impossible. Everything that has happened in both worlds is bound to keep repeating, perhaps not all the time or in the same way, but no one in either world can escape their fate. Using a loophole that during the apocalypse, time stands still and it is therefore briefly possible to change the chain of cause and effects. Claudia is able to approach Adam to explain all this and tells him that he must now send his younger self, Jonas, and the version of Martha from Martha's world to the origin world in order to stop the event that results in the formation of both worlds, in essence wiping them out of existence. Adam goes to Jonas at the time just after Martha from his world has been shot and explains to him that the only way he can prevent himself turning into Adam is to go ahead with this pain. Jonas then fetches the Martha from Eva's world just before she is grabbed by Magnus and Franziska and the loop is repeated again. Jonas is successful and along with Eva's world Martha, he traveled to June 21st, 1986, the day on which Passage was opened for the first time, and Adam and Eva's world were created. H.G. Tannhäuser had been attempting to go back in time to prevent the car crash, which kills his family, but instead he accidentally splits time, creating the other worlds. Jonas explained that for a brief moment, when the passage was created, there will be a bridge between all three worlds, at which point he and Martha will travel back to the day of fatal car crash in the origin world to prevent it from ever happening. And so Jonas and Martha separately walk through the bridge, a kind of starry void in which they briefly see childhood versions of each other, before finding each other and stepping into the origin world. They then successfully stop the crash by standing in front of car, forcing him to stop and telling Tannhäuser's son that the bridge ahead is closed and that they will have to go home, an instruction he accepts. And so the car turns back, they stay the night back in H.G. Tannhäuser's and crash never happens, stopping Tannhäuser from using the time machine and preventing Adam's and Eve's world ever being created. And what I just told you earlier about the cut on the cheek is the sense on explaining mirror dimension. It is a way of showing that in which world she is now, unless showing you every time where she is, as both worlds which are created are the virtual image of each other. Do Martha and Jonas die? Well, not technically. What actually happens is that they were wiped from existence entirely, since they never existed in the origin world, so they can't really die in the traditional sense, but they do stop existing. In some of the final moments, Martha and Jonas confide in each other that they saw the childhood version of each other in the bridge and speculate about what it could mean. Martha asks, "Do you think anything of us could remain? Or is it that what we are, a dream? We never really existed." Jonas responds to that he doesn't know, but proclaims that
You and I are perfect for each other.
and the pair hold hands as they slowly disappear from existence while a slowly sung version of What a Wonderful World begins playing in the background. How romantic.
What a wonderful world.
Dark final scene meaning. In the final scene, in the present day in the origin world, we see that pleasant looking dinner party with guests including Regina Tiedemann, who has not died of cancer, Peter Doppler, who now appears to be living with a transgender woman with whom he had been having an affair in Adam's world, and a pregnant Hannah Kahnwald, although she obviously doesn't have the surname as Mikkel Kahnwald doesn't exist anymore. There are a number of absentees, including Ulrich Nielsen and Charlotte Doppler, given that they no longer exist since they relied on the time travel to be born in the first place. And while it is clear that the other world is no longer exist, they also seems to have some kind of hidden lasting impact on the characters in the origin world. With Hannah seen staring in the shock at the yellow coat after the joking mention of an apocalypse. With some of his final words of the series, she says, "I just had a deja vu or something. This might sound absurd, but this is exactly what I dreamt last night." And it seems she was somehow aware, in some sense, of the other world ending. Then, with the last line, she declares, when asked about the name of her unborn child,
I always thought Jonas was a good name.
so it seems that while the other worlds might have been wiped from existence, they still, in some sense, exist in the subconscious of the origin world's character. What is the origin? For much of the series, there was a talk of an origin that, if destroyed, could get rid of the knot and stop the loop. Adam is convinced that this origin is the child of Adam's word Jonas and Eva's word Martha, which he thinks ties the word together. But it turns out this was another red herring. Adam's attempted destruction of Martha's unborn child was just another thing which perpetuated the loop. The real origin was the car crash which caused Origin World at Titanius to create the use of time machine in first place. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you like it, hit the like button. For more such content like this, subscribe to our channel.